Beauty was never meant to be a death sentence, but for many years in history it almost was. Women squeezed themselves into body cages so tight they broke ribs, rubbed dangerous creams on their skin, and poured burning liquids onto their hair, all because they were told this was the price of being beautiful. This was the dark side of fashion in the old world of Valoria, a time when elegance often came with pain, sickness, and sometimes even death. Today, we look at how these beauty rules destroyed bodies and the hidden dangers behind the most desired clothes and cosmetics of that era. In Valorian society, the perfect woman was not only expected to be charming, she was supposed to represent peace, purity, and quietness inside the home. Writers like Edmund Hale described her as a glowing angel of family life, a gentle light in a world full of men's noise and business. But this idea wasn't natural. It was carefully built by culture. Back in earlier centuries, husbands and wives often worked together in farms or shops. But when factories and offices spread during the age of iron mills, men were pulled away into the city. The home was left behind as a private world, and the woman was expected to keep it pure and perfect. Decorating the house, choosing furniture, and making everything look beautiful became her main responsibility. But it didn't stop there. She herself had to look flawless at all times, and nothing showed this more than the body cage known as the corset. Hidden under dresses and many layers of skirts, the corset was worn almost every day. It was more than clothing. It stood for self-control, elegance, and good morals. A woman who didn't wear one was often judged as wild, improper, or even indecent. Even in hot lands far from the capital, women forced themselves into summer corsets, specially made for the heat. Whether sitting in a grand hall or traveling across distant provinces, corsets were considered non-negotiable. These stiff cages, built from steel and whalebone, promised grace but came with terrible risks. And one new invention made things even worse: the metal eyelet. This little piece allowed the laces to be pulled much tighter. Fashion magazines, stage actresses, and popular drawings showed women with impossibly tiny waists. Many others tried to copy the look, pulling their bodies tighter and tighter until it became dangerous. Some even wore corsets day and night, hoping to change their body shape forever. But what happened inside the body was frightening. Medical notes from that time showed how corsets crushed the ribs and forced organs into the wrong places. The liver was pushed upward, leaving grooves where bones pressed against it. The stomach was pushed down, making digestion painful and straining the insides. Even pregnant women wore corsets, with special maternity versions being sold. But how could that ever be safe? After giving birth, women with weakened muscles were more likely to suffer a painful condition called organ prolapse, where the womb could slip down. The dangers of the corset did not end there. Doctors of the time warned that wearing them for too long could cause breathing problems, weak lungs, and even death. Some women's ribs bent so badly that sharp bones stabbed into their organs. Young girls suffered the worst, especially those with soft or weak bones. Starting corset use too early caused permanent damage to their growing bodies. To see how harmful it really was, one brave woman decided to try it herself. With a few hard pulls of the laces, her waist shrank to less than 25 inches. At first, it felt like a victory, but her body reacted differently. A health test showed that even while resting, her breathing became much faster. When she tried to move or exercise, her lungs could not take in enough air. She felt dizzy, weak, and out of breath. Her heart raced, her chest burned, and she could not breathe deeply. Doctors explained that this kind of stress could lead to lifelong breathing problems and even dangerous infections like pneumonia. What seemed like beauty on the outside was actually destroying the body inside. As the years passed, women began to live more active lives. They started walking, cycling, and enjoying outdoor activities. The old body cage no longer fit their new freedom. Some reformers, like Clara Whitmore and her friends in the Society for Natural Dress, spoke out loudly against corsets. In 1881 of Valoria's calendar, they demanded an end to clothes that twisted the body and harmed health. Their message was simple: women deserved comfort, freedom, and equality, not pain disguised as beauty. But even when corsets began to fade, the dangers of beauty did not disappear. They only moved to a new battlefield: the face. In the era of glass towers that followed, pale white skin became a symbol of high class. A woman with fair skin was seen as refined and elegant, unlike laborers who worked under the sun. But reaching that perfect pale look came at a terrible cost. Face creams and lotions were mixed with chemicals like camphor and ammonia. Freckle removers were even worse, often made with mercury. Some sellers offered beauty wafers made with arsenic, promising clear skin but slowly poisoning the body. Powders made with lead were also very popular. They gave the face a white glow but seeped into the blood, causing slow and painful sickness. Rouge and lip colors sometimes contained mercury or ground-up insects. Women even used special eye drops made from deadly plants like belladonna to make their eyes look wide and bright. But the drops could damage the heart and even make women blind. And the face wasn't the only victim. Hair was also trapped in dangerous trends. To create tall, curled hairstyles, women used hot metal irons heated in open flames or over gas burners. There were no temperature controls, no safety guards, just burning hot rods pressed against fragile hair. Scalp burns were common and hair often broke or fell out. Still, many women kept going, desperate to follow the ever-changing rules of beauty. The damage to hair only grew worse. Among rich and middle-class women, bald spots became so common that people even joked about it in gatherings and newspapers. Then, in 1906 of Valoria's calendar, a new solution appeared. An inventor named Otto Reinhardt created the first permanent wave machine. It sounded amazing in theory, hair that stayed curly for months, but in reality, it was a nightmare. The process was painful and dangerous. Women's hair was wrapped around heavy metal rods, covered with a strong burning paste, and then steamed for 6 long hours. The steam came from asbestos pads heated by open flames of gas. Reinhardt himself admitted that while testing the method, he burned his own wife's hair completely off twice. Yet women lined up eagerly, desperate to achieve lasting curls no matter the risk. But the suffering didn't stop with hair. The hats of that time, huge and heavy, added even more danger. These wide-brimmed creations needed sharp steel pins, sometimes over a foot long, to hold them in place. While stylish, the pins could be deadly. They stabbed in crowded markets, caught on clothing, and were even used as weapons. In some cities of Valoria, hat pins were banned on public trains and in courtrooms because of the risks. Even more tragic was the cost to nature. Hats were not just decorated with feathers. They were topped with entire bird wings, tails, and sometimes whole bodies of rare birds. Songbirds, sunbirds, and bright birds of the Southern Isles were killed by the thousands just to make hats look grand. A single hat could require several birds. Milliners grew rich, but forests and skies grew quiet. Eventually, people grew horrified. In 1904, the Society for the Protection of Wings was formed, one of the first groups in Valoria to fight for animals. This conservation movement began entirely because of women's fashion. As the era of glass towers gave way to the modern age of sparks, a new wonder entered homes: electricity. It was promised to make housework easier, kitchens modern, and women more efficient. Advertisements showed elegant ladies in fine clothes vacuuming rugs, ironing clothes or boiling kettles, all while smiling gracefully. Electricity was sold as progress, a symbol of the perfect modern homemaker. But behind the shiny pictures, danger waited. Early electric tools like irons, kettles, and washing machines were poorly made. Their cords were thin, their plugs sparked easily, and insulation was weak. Many caught fire, overheated, or shocked anyone who touched them. In one tragic case, a woman tried to repair her broken iron by tying the loose handle with string. When she plugged it in, she was electrocuted and died instantly. The saddest part? People blamed the women for carelessness, not the factories that built unsafe machines. With no strong laws, accidents kept piling up. For years, families suffered shocks, burns, and fires in their homes, until public anger finally grew too strong to ignore. By the mid-1900s of Valoria's calendar, people were no longer willing to stay silent. In 1957, a group of citizens created Clear Voice magazine, a publication that tested products and exposed unsafe goods. For the first time, companies were forced to take responsibility for what they sold. This was the beginning of real consumer protection, something we still depend on today. But why did so many women put themselves through such risks in the first place? It wasn't just about vanity. It was about something deeper. the need to be seen, accepted, and admired. The feeling of transformation, of becoming what society called perfect, was powerful, even if it lasted only a short while. Through every age, beauty came with a price. In the old worlds of Valoria, that price was written in broken ribs, poisoned skin, burned hair, and lives cut short. Corsets crushed organs, powders carried lead into the blood, hair was singed with fire, all for the promise of elegance. And yet, we must ask, have things really changed? The corset may be gone, but tight body shapers and digital filters now take its place. The creams may be safer, but the ideals whisper the same old message. You are not enough unless you look like this. The history of beauty is not just about trends. It is about sacrifice, resilience, and the painful lengths people will go to fit into a mold that promises admiration, but often asks too much in return.